Mr. President, welcome to the African Development Bank. It's a real pleasure to have you here. I hope that your visit's gone well up till now.
So far, so good.
That's good. So, okay, the purpose of the visit here in Tunis is to hold discussions for the launch of the foundation, the Kufuor Foundation. So tell us a bit what this foundation will be doing.
Well, main foundation is to encourage the study of leadership with governance and also development. For the countries of Africa, of course starting with Ghana itself. This theme of leadership, governance and development, I believe is so central for the advancement of the countries of Africa. We've been independent generally on the continent for about 50 years. Ghana, the first south of Sahara, has got its 52 years, but most of the other countries are just 50. And so far, within the space of 50 years, it can be said fairly that development has been checked. And when you look critically, you see that leadership perhaps has not been rounded enough to guide and also guard their polities in ways and manners that would have launched, sustained economic and social development for their countries. And this is why in many places we've suffered coup d'etats many times, and governments had proven so weak till about just 2 decades ago, when with the collapse of the Cold War and also the liberation of the system, which in a way has ushered in globalization, new leadership has cropped up on the continent that is admitting that there need to be a rebirth of the development process on the continent. I believe a critical study of leadership with governance, because after all the constitutions seem to talk of sovereignty residing in the people themselves. And yet, when you study nation by nation or government by government, you see that governments haven't tended to be responsive to the people from whom they take the power. And we've tended also to betray our constitutions. Eve of elections, you get a president or other trying to amend the constitution so he could continue indefinitely.
That's true.
I believe we need to study these things.
So it will be mainly like a think tank?
A think tank. Fortunately, the Premier University of Ghana has agreed to give me space to site the center there. I believe the center would benefit in that atmosphere.
Yeah, that's true.
Of research, learning and also debate. And of course, the university too would benefit because it would be the first such center from a former head of state in the country. And then it would be a place that would attract internationalists of various grades, including even former heads of state from other places, to come and share ideas on these themes with participants at the center.
As an authority in the field of good governance, you do have a very impressive international track record. How do you assess the role and effectiveness of the African Development Bank when it comes to pursuing good governance on the continent?
Again, when you look into history, many of our countries on the continent came to power, gained independence without the capacity to manage the economies too well. One, they lack the personnel, the groomed and rounded personnel with the appreciation, the knack and management of economists from the central bank level through the investment and commercial bank levels and the finance sector generally. Not until we got the sector, financial economic sector, in right shape and at the right level, any management or development of the system would not be too competent and robust enough. So I believe with the help of multilaterals, like say ADB, World Bank, IMF, the governments need to be supported to get their macroeconomies stabilized and purposeful, forward-looking. The disciplines that must come with this, helping the central governments, say not to overborrow domestically, to crowd out the private sector, should be in place. And also the banks ensuring that the monetary policies are also sound. So say interest rates at the commercial banks and so forth and so on become manageable and accessible to the private sector. The central governments disciplining themselves with their budgetary fiscal policies. Say inflation and other finance instruments are rendered efficient and tailored to work hand in hand with central government central bank monetary policies to be the basis of the general economic performance. We need to get all these things in shape. And of course, most of us are third world. We are yet to lay our infrastructure. We are yet to move the sectors that will get the economy working, say the agricultural sector and energy and so forth and so on. The African Development Bank, I believe, is strategically positioned to support governments on the continent trying to lift the countries up from the third world levels to meet the goals of development.
How can it complement what the bank is already doing? How can you work together?
Well, I expect the bank would use consultancies every now and then, giving subjects that would help the bank decide quickly on given situations. And I hope my center, through engagements with people with the technocracy and also insights to governance matters, would be able to serve the bank or complement the bank in this way, helping steady situations and reporting to the bank for the bank to decide on given situations. Or if it's for monitoring, I would hope the center in due course will become competent to be able to, again, take a consultancy or a contract from the bank to do some specific studies, report back to the bank. And generally too, since the whole idea of the center would be to help enlighten peoples across Africa, these peoples would in turn impact their domestic governments the right way of, say, selecting leaders, helping strengthen demand for accountability and transparency of leadership, also heightening the sense of responsibility of citizenry generally, and giving guidance here and there with views on the world around us, where Africa should be going, the connectivity, the opening up of the continent, a whole lot of things I believe the center will help do, so that the bank then would have customers in the nations that would also be responsive of the changes that are happening around them, of the way to go.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It's an honor to speak to you.
Thank you. I'm happy.
And best of luck
Thank you.
with your foundation.
Thank
you very much.